parents had always known each other. They went to school from very early age, so they knew each other a long time. One of the interesting stories about them is that when Grandma turned 12, Grandpa spanked her so hard for her birthday that she was sore and crying for some time. They got married anyway.
Grandma, how did your parents meet?
I don't really know how they met. Well, I know they met in New York City. My mother was a maid for a very wealthy family, and my father got the job as the chauffeur of his family. But I don't know. I'm sure they met at some Finnish party or occasion, because the Finnish people all met together. Anyone that were in New York or whatever area from Finland, they would meet together and have parties and things. So I'm sure they met there first, but then they ended up working together and marrying.
When did you guys meet, you two?
We met at, I think the formal meeting was at the Christian Center. Your wedding will be at the Baptist Church, Mike and Emma, and we met downstairs in the gym or the Homeport. Yeah, we met in Homeport. Curtis Nestergaard was Grandpa's pastor at the Lutheran Church, and he was leaving, and so they had a going away party for him. And I was on the mission staff at the Baptist Church, so we were invited, and everyone from the Lutheran Church, and we were standing together that first evening, and we weren't really together, but we were standing in the same group, and the hospital administrator came over and said to Ken, "And don't you marry my nurse and take her away." And we both thought,
So what my guy
word.
did?
But yeah, that was a...
He dropped the challenge.
We didn't even know each other then.
I have a different story. I think we met at Square Dance, right over there. And the reason Pioneer. The reason I remember that was that they would put a cotton ball in one of the cupcakes every Square Dance, and somehow I got the cupcake with the cotton ball inside.
See, that was the important thing of that evening. I was so disappointed. No marshmallow. Instead, there was this girl there, but he got a cotton ball in his cupcake. And in case anyone was wondering, the most important thing for Dad and Grandma is...
Wait. Yes.
Is that later?
Tell again. What is this now? The most important thing that Dad can't live
The
without?
thing that Dad can't live without. Food. And I was going to say him.
Every once in a while I put my foot in my mouth.
This next question is, what memory stands out most from your wedding day? Well, besides the fact that you were late, Grandma.
Over half an hour
Yeah.
late. The actual time was, I had asked what time it was, and they said it's 2:30. I said, it can't be 2:30. The wedding's at 2. They go, it is 2:30. So
And
Emma,
she was miles away from the church.
oh, just a few, maybe 4 or 5.
So how late were you then for your wedding?
Oh, I was probably 40 minutes. I probably was, and unfortunately, if it says, how was the wedding ceremony, the question says, how was the wedding, what do you remember about the wedding ceremony? Actually, I don't remember too very much, because I missed most of it. Because I was supposed to be, is it called a narthex, so what is in the very back of the church? I was supposed to be standing there while they did things. Well, they started at 2 o'clock. And my college roommate, one of my college roommates, was singing, 2 songs that I had picked out that she was going to sing, and she sang them before I got there. So I missed quite a little bit of the ceremony. But I did not miss that. Do you take this?
It's nice that she didn't stand in for you at that point.
The whole church was crying. Aino's mother was crying. My mother was crying.
No, but your
My
dad.
dad was pacing up and down.
But did you, I heard that you didn't even know that Grandma wasn't there. Did you know that she was late?
Of course I knew she was late.
They were- see,
We
they were-
couldn't
They couldn't
we
come
couldn't
out.
have the
See,
ceremony.
they couldn't come out, but other things started. They had the song started and planned ahead of time. And
Okay.
Yeah, the pastor was uptight, and they had to mop the floor. They didn't have to use water, they just used the tears to...
but Grandpa was worried. We were pacing, and he thought
Now,
that I.
that's not me, that's my dad.
Yeah, his dad.
Okay.
His dad was
What were
worried
you
that I
thinking,
had.
Papa?
She's late.
So ever since then.
Do you think
he
she had cold feet?
And we had to have a discussion about what that meant.
And then in the receiving line, Mom's
Uncle
Aunt
Benny's wife.
Hulda was there. Move along, come on, let's move along here.
There, she couldn't say very many things in English, but move along was one of them. And it was taking too long. She was ready to sit down and eat. Well, the funny thing was, when you asked what we would like to have tonight, I said, well, we should have the same thing that we had at our reception. There were 250 or 300 people there, and we had a cake, and it was about this size. It had 3 tiers, and there was a piece of cake for everybody. And there were 2 or maybe 2 bowls of nuts and 2 bowls of mince. And I think the pieces of cake were like, maybe that size, maybe 1.5 inches square.
Wow.
But that was not unusual to have something like that. Then we had coffee and punch. Yeah.
Did you have a honeymoon?
Yes, we went to Dartmouth and spent one poor evening, I think, at the Chieftain, the Dartmouth flagship hotel or motel, and then we went to another place to stay. It happened to be owned by a college professor, and as soon as we came in to register, Mom requested that she be able to look at the room, and then we no sooner checked in, and here was
In the room.
here was some flowers delivered, because he knew that we had just been married.
And I said, how did you know that?
Because nobody but honeymooners asked to see the room, and your rings were bright.
So they sent us flowers, which is really sweet. Hotel people.
All right, Grandma, how would you describe your spouse? We both said-
My house, did you say?
It's not
Oh, well, I'll get a little teary, but Psalm 1 describes it. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. For his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like a chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, and the way of the ungodly shall perish. But that's that's my husband.
Wow.
So, Papa.
Top
you
that.
describe-
You wanted Grandma to go first.
I heard you say, describe
Food.
yourself when you talk about Grandma. And I was wondering how far off how she'd wandered that far astray. But, when I think of, my priorities, when I think of Mom, I think of food.
Grandma, he needs you. You make him do it.
No, that's not true. She's a wonderful woman. She's a Christian woman. She's a teacher and encourager and all the things that it takes to make
A word to those getting married, I'll tell them later. When you have disagreements, take care of them right away. Don't let them stew and fester. Tonight we had a little tiny disagreement. And I said to Christine, great, that's a great way to go to celebrate our 50th.
You didn't say that to her, you said that to me.
I said to him, to her. And she said, well, it'll be all right. And I said, yeah, well, she said, he'll get over it. And I said, yeah, but I may not.